us now, Congressman from Ohio, and we need to talk about this subject too, these GM plant closings. Joining us now, Congressman Tim Ryan. Good morning, Congressman. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. Nice intro music. Thank you. That's beautiful.
How are you this morning? You doing okay? Where are you, in D.C. or are you in Ohio? Are you home?
I'm at home. I'm just outside of Youngstown in
Okay.
Warren, Ohio.
So you met with the head of GM yesterday, correct?
Yes, sir.
And just to fill everyone in, of some of the plants that are closing, there's the one in Lordstown. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. And how many people does that affect? How many jobs are we talking about there?
It's going to be 1,600 directly in the plant, and then obviously with manufacturing, you lose about 4 to 5 times that through the supply chain. So the seat manufacturer, the trucking companies, the logistics, and all of that. So it's going to be 8 to 10,000, I think, when it's all said and done, which is devastating for us.
Now that you mention it, and I didn't think about this before I reached out to you this morning, Congressman. So we're on Sirius XM right now, and when you go down the line, there's Sirius XM in all of these GM cars. And so they're the workers that have to install the radios. As you said, the seat manufacturers. They're I don't know what you call them, but the people who put the radios and the sound systems in the cars. So this affects. I mean, they don't necessarily work for Sirius XM, but it still affects them, and affects our product.
Yeah, I mean, the economy is so interconnected right now. Between artificial intelligence and sensors and manufacturing and all of this, it affects everybody, and it's indicative of what's happening, I think, in the country that's beneath the radar. Yeah, the stock market may be up. I mean, depending on the day, economy seems to be doing okay. Job unemployment numbers are low. But it's not working. It's just not working for most people right now. They can barely keep their nose above water.
Yeah. So tell us how the meeting went. Before we even do that, though, I thought we were going to be tired of winning.
Yeah.
And Obama. He's not riding the Obama economy. This is his own miraculous economy.
Right.
I mean, and you mentioned the stock market, although I don't know, Congressman, I think we need to be honest with ourselves and acknowledge that the stock market is okay for what it's okay for, but to the average American, it's almost meaningless because such a small percentage of Americans have anything on the stock market anyway.
Exactly. Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought we were going to be tired of winning, man. And then GM is closed. I don't get it. I'm missing something.
Yeah, no, it's what there's no this is the third time we've tried this whole supply side economic thing.
Right.
We tried it in the 80s, we tried it with George W. Bush, we just did it again, cut taxes for the wealthy, and all these workers are going to be fine and they're going to benefit from it. And that is just the biggest load of BS that I've ever heard, and the fact that we're still running this game on the American people is maddening. And then the president wants he's going to open the steel mills and the coal mines, and then it's backward looking. It's not the new economy, and things are changing. The argument really for me is that, look, yeah, globalization's working for corporations. The profits are up, stock market's up, but it's not working for workers. And so how do we plug these community behalf? Where's the social contract? The social compact that economics eviscerated.
Yeah. 866-99 series. So now the meeting. Tell us about the meeting, what happened. What did you turn the table over? What did Congressman Ryan do?
Well, we had a couple previous conversations where I was very clear about how I felt.
Sure.
And I prefer to do that stuff kind of one-on-one.
Sure.
But moving into autonomous vehicles, and they're moving into vehicles that are more embedded with this technology, which is fine because that's the future. And
Okay.
my only thing was like, look, these workers in this plant has been here in Northeast Ohio since 19. That's going to be the case or not, but we were making that case, and I was. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
So now so is the plant closing altogether, and they're going into this other technology, or is
Enough from the union, and that's not till September. They're going to stop production in March of the Chevy Cruze, and they're saying that the plant is unallocated, which means they don't have a car that's been allocated to the plant,
I see.
which is just a technical term to say, the workers aren't going to be there and they're not going to have a product. And so the goal is, okay, if you're investing in electric vehicles, if you're investing in autonomous vehicles, then you need to invest that money in the plants that have helped build the company.
Right.
Have us build the electric cars.
Right.
Have us build the autonomous vehicles.
Yeah.
We could do that, right?
Yeah. This ain't rocket science, right?
Right.
I mean, it's ironic it is because you're moving into new technology, but it's not rocket science to stay at home base. And so what's the reaction to that? What did she say when you put that on the table?
Well, nothing can be decided until the union they have the contract negotiations with the union. And so, again, it's just, where do the workers fit in here, Rev? You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. Why don't we have an economy where the workers are part of the corporation, not seen as a nuisance to the corporation?
Right.
How do we get them cut in on the deals? How do they bring value? How do they look at themselves as more part owners of the company, as opposed to, I'm the first one to get cut. They don't care about me. They asked me to move. And that's how long has this been going on? 40 years. I mean, our community in Youngstown, we call it Black Monday, is when Youngstown Sheet and Tube closed. 5,000 jobs right out of the gate.
Yeah. So they're saying the union, but I mean, well, have you talked to the union leadership? Have you been in contact with them?
Oh yeah.
Now I'm just gonna guess they agree with your position, right? I mean, they want to keep workers employed and what have you, right?
Yeah. And well, they part of what the problem is here is that the worker unions, and whoever comes up with the best price, that's probably who will get the car or get the new product. So it's broken. I mean, look at this. They get a rescue package. They get the bailout.
Right.
Then last year and a half ago, whatever, they got the tax cut, 157 million this past year. They've got from the supply side economic Trump tax cut. Then they cut 14,000 workers. The stock goes up 6%. So the shareholders benefit from it. And then they pit the local workers to have a race to the bottom to figure out who's going to get the product. I mean, this is insane how this economy is now structured. And Trump has no plan. There's no coherent strategy as to what we're going to do. There's no investments into the new technologies, wind, solar, additive manufacturing, artificial intelligence. Right. Then he threatens General Motors to get rid of the tax credits for and incentives for electric vehicles, which is helping the consumer be able to afford the electric vehicles, because the electric vehicles are the future. Now, I don't know if this guy wants us to go back to the horse and buggy. Maybe that's his plan, but what he's doing now isn't working.
Right. So, from your point of view, where are things left now? What's next on your agenda to still confront this issue?
Continue to keep heat on General Motors. Making sure that they're keeping their eye on, for me personally, the Lordstown plant, right? To make sure that they're factoring this in as they make their plans for the future. Okay. That's my plan. Now, we don't want to hurt General Motors. We have thousands and thousands of General Motors retirees in our area that are getting a pension from General Motors. So this idea of, kill General Motors, punish General Motors is only going to hurt the retirees who have been,
Mm-hmm.
held harmless up to this point. They need a profitable General Motors that's paying into the pension.
Mm-hmm.
So that, so like you don't want to bite your nose off to spite your face here. So you want to work with General Motors to help them grow, but you also want them to be loyal to the people that helped build the company over the last 50 years.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and that's the name of the game. And this is what a congressman is supposed to be doing, folks, for her or his district and local community. This is important, and people need jobs. And it's Christmas. Lord have mercy. So I mean,
Yeah.
this just raises the level of anxiety when it comes to all of this. And glad you're on top of it. I mean, I don't know how much more we can expect from Trump anyway. He's gonna be pretty distracted for the days to come. I think you would agree. Uh,
Yeah, looks that way. Looks that way.
you know.
Yeah.
Um, so okay, man. Well, listen. We've been in close touch, and let's keep in touch, and let's stay in touch on this and keep me posted. And as a matter of fact,
Got it.
if you if we want to go further into this, and if there's even some of the union leadership that you think it would be helpful for us to talk to and get their side out, just let me know,
Sure.
and we'll
Be
work that
happy to.
out and maybe have you on with them, because I think this is a very important issue. This is really where the rubber hits the road. We can talk about a whole lot of other stuff, but if we cannot save people's jobs and communities that depend on these jobs, then what are we doing? There's
Yeah.
really, I mean, we can talk about Trump and his drama all day. That's one issue, but not at the expense of people working. That's what people I think voted for in these midterms, did they not? I mean, that was the issue. People were voting for fundamental issues, even Republicans that crossed over. Hell, Joe Manchin got reelected on health care. Whoever thought that would happen
Right.
in West Virginia? So this is practicality, is it not?
Yeah. And when we focus, I think as progressives, as Democrats, as if we focus on these lunch bucket issues that families are dealing with every single day, and the fact that look, Mueller's going to take care of Trump. I mean, that's obvious as to what's happening just with the Flynn plea deal that we saw the
Yeah.
other day. Like
Right.
that train has left the station.
Right. Right.
I think it's to have to be disciplined as legislators, as politicians, and as
Mm-hmm.
leaders to say Trump has failed us with his economic policies.
Mm-hmm.
This is not working. People are still losing their pensions. Wages
Mm-hmm.
are still flat. Income inequality is still growing. We're not making the investments in the new economy, and people are falling behind.
Yeah.
He's
Right.
failed us. He's
Right.
failed us. He's not keeping his promises that he made. So that's the message ultimately at the end of the day.
Well, and we had to be vigilant about these sites. Lastly, I wonder if you would agree about what I noted in the past 24 hours. You had again the decorum at the funeral and all Republicans and what HW represented and all that, and that's fine. But right under our very noses, you have Wisconsin, Michigan, the election fraud in North Carolina. I mean, the other party is still doing a lot of dirty tricks, Congressman, and
Yeah.
we've got to be vigilant on all that. That stuff is fundamental and practical too. We've got to be vigilant on all of these fronts.
We've got to pull together a really big coalition, not for the short term, but for
Yeah,
the long term, and that means these economic issues: white, black, brown, gay, straight, man, woman,
yeah,
like workers, the people who aren't in the 1%, the people
right,
who aren't shareholders. We've got to come together, and it's about the economy, it's about our democracy. It's about, I mean, what they're doing in these states is a fundamental shift from the
yeah.
basic structure of our government
That's right.
that we started: separation of powers,
That's right. That's right. That's right.
judicial review. I mean, this is an attack on our structure of government that has served us pretty well. The
Mm-hmm.
problem today isn't our government, the problem our structure. The problem today is the concentration of wealth, and that wealth has then purchased the government. And that's what we're seeing happen. all of a sudden a Democrat gets in, you're going to strip the governors of power?
You're right.
This
You're right.
is ridiculous.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, and so, but we've got to go to these communities. You know, I mean, I'm not here to be. I mean, I've been critical of Democrats, and I continue to be. You can't go to black people when it's election time. You
Right.
know,
Right.
you can't ignore white working class people and not show up in their communities.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's
Mm-hmm.
like, what are we doing? This is our base. You know what I'm saying? These are workers. These are, you know, I come from peasant stock, Rev. I mean, my family was, you know,
Right.
we were working class, union immigrants that worked in steel mills, and that was the generation that passed civil rights
That's
and,
right.
you know, strengthened unions and went to the moon and won wars and, you know, rebuilt the country, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you know, it wasn't perfect, but we did a lot more together than we're doing now divided.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And again, folks, that's why I just wanted to point that out. This somewhat myth of this working together yesterday, which we saw in the funeral, which was beautiful and fine, but that's not necessarily what's happening in some of these other states on the ground. So this is important. I'm not going to exploit my role in media to ask you um, some of the other questions that you would normally be asked at a time like this, because I want people just to focus on the reason we're talking this morning, and that's these workers. And that speaks for itself and speaks to your commitment to your district. And so if people want to read into that and judge you based on that, when somebody else asks you those other questions about your future, I'll let them do that. But I'm not going to do that to you, though, man, because I think people need to just hear this. I think this is because even sometimes when we do that, it takes away from the real issue that we're here to discuss. And this is absolutely urgent. And so we'll just keep that as the priority. Follow at Rep Tim Ryan on Twitter. He's also Rep Tim Ryan on Instagram for all the latest. Is she supposed to be following up with you? Is there going to be a follow up meeting, or what? What's
Yeah, we're staying in touch. I know
okay?
she's meeting with the Michigan folks today,
Okay,
and you know, I'm in very close contact with her government affairs person
good,
and
good,
with her as well. So we're going to be in close contact.
good enough, good enough. Thank you, sir, for joining us, and let's stay. And as I said, if there are others you feel need to um, use this form or take advantage of this form, just let me know, whether they be in
Got it.
Ohio or Michigan for that matter, quite honestly. So
You got it.
let's stay on this story, okay?
I appreciate it. Take
Thank you,
care. If I
man.
don't see you, have a great Christmas.
You too,
Great
man.
holiday.
Happy
All
holidays
right.
to you and the family, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right,
Take
we'll
care.
keep in
Bye.
touch. Congressman Tim Ryan. 866-99-SIRIUS, 866-997-4748. I'm behind. Jorge Olivares is going to join us. Stay tuned right here. Join us on Sirius XM